Hey guys, so we just got back from a doubleheader where we saw Brightburn and Aladdin, and we're going to tell you which one you should go see, what we thought of them. But before we begin in this Brightburn review, which is, this horror story based on, Superman and the lore of Superman, I'll take a moment to thank our sponsors, Displate. I'm a big Superman fan. I think it's no secret.
You think so?
I just got in a Displate. I ordered it from Displate. I'm gonna hang this one up on my wall. This is my Superman
this is Brandon Breyer, right?
No, that's Clark Kent. He's just a little angry right now.
Okay.
That's Superman Kal-El. So yeah, guys, check out Displate. They're our newest sponsor. They're these badass metallic posters that you could stick up on the wall. Really safe. You don't have to put a bunch of nails in your wall, and they're pretty awesome. All right, guys. So I got a store, and if you'll click the link down below, there's a 15% off coupon that we're running right now. If you want to grab that particular one, I've curated a bunch. I put together movie posters, superheroes, all the best artists, because there's like 100, 200 pages of, posters. So I picked some of the best ones. Go visit my page at display.com/AngryJoeShow. Link is down below. Click it there and buy one of these things. It helps support our show. All right, so let's jump directly into the review. What did you guys think of, Brightburn?
I thought it was a great concept, but the execution was good.
I wanted more from it, right?
Yeah.
So when I first saw the trailer, I was so excited because
Excuse me?
it was just fine.
You didn't like it?
No.
Joe, what the hell? I loved it. I thought it was
You
fucking
did?
great. I did. I did. Okay, I'll tell you what. The first and the second, I felt like it
second.
was starting to get a little tropey, in that second act. But that third act it was kind of, it started good and then it was petering out in that second act. But that third act for me goes whoop, and it sold it. It stopped with the tropes. It was just and it was, this thing's rated R.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot more gruesome here than I expected.
Yeah.
And it didn't shy away from getting a little dark.
Yeah, which I liked.
Yeah, and I liked that very much. So I actually liked Brightburn a lot. What about you, Alex?
I liked it. I thought that the concept was amazing, though, and I would just wish that the movie itself had been amazing because that's really what I wanted.
What are y'all talking about? The movie
Well,
was
here's the thing.
amazing.
No, the movie was not. The
think-
movie was good. The movie was really good. This movie is not great, and there was a lot that that kind of pulled everything away. The movie starts pretty slow, almost painfully slow.
No, it doesn't.
Okay, and then
Yeah.
it leads into tropey stuff, and it just kind of doesn't do anything until he starts doing something, and that's right about this third act is when he starts actually doing things. We get a lot of we don't get a lot.
What you're saying?
Yeah,
He doesn't start, killing and murdering and maiming and going crazy until the third act. But that's called the character development. That's called tension. That's called building scenes.
I didn't feel
because
like it had that,
here's
though.
why I say it's not slow at the beginning, guys, and it's not. It speeds right past all the kind of stuff. Like, say if you've never heard the story of Superman, you'd be like, wait, what? What happened? Because basically they start, hey, you see all these infidelity books, and you're like, okay, clearly they can't have children.
Oh, infertility books.
Oh, I'm sorry, infidelity books. Infertility
I was
books.
like, what the hell movie is he watching?
And, the meteorite slams down or the alien ship slams down, and boom, we just cut right to, the baby pictures and some videos and stuff, really setting up the fact that, when he was a young kid, he didn't have all these powers. They actually formed an emotional bond with a real child in their mind. They thought it was essentially a gift from the heavens. But they sped through a lot of Superman's sort of little origin until we could get to, some of the signs that he's going bad. And we'll talk about what exactly happens in spoilers. This will be a non-spoiler review. But as far as, slow start, I don't think it started slow. I thought it was focusing on the character of, Martha Kent and, they're not Kent, they're Briars,
Briars,
the mom and father and the son.
Yeah, I think this was like an hour and something.
Hour and 30.
And it, to me, that felt long. For some reason, it just felt long. But I think
felt
this would have
short
been
for me. I wish it would have extended.
if this would have been like a short film or something like that, like you see on YouTube, it would have been great.
Or like a
But it
3
just felt
episode
so, yeah,
miniseries,
like,
really
just felt
stretch it
so
out.
stretched out on this, and I didn't really enjoy it.
Okay.
So I enjoyed it. I didn't think of it. I seem to be between the two of you on this one, where I thought it was the idea was
but not,
amazing.
like, over here.
And I mean, just it's produced by James Gunn, but it's written by the other two Gunn brothers. The cast did a really good job. They looked really good in the previews.
I like the boy's performance. He has a sufficiently creepy performance for me.
He does very good.
His staring looks, a lot of scenes where you're creeping up on somebody and you're trying to get them to turn around to see. They don't do They do a few jump scares, but it's not overly excessive or anything. And then once that action starts in the third act, you get some gratifying action. Cool. You get some CGI that is believable. You get the concept, to me, pays off. And it's got an ending where I appreciate it. I was worried what they were going to do with the ending, because obviously, how do you stop a boy with these types of powers? And what we've seen from Superman, and of course we've had evil Superman stories. They just bother me. I hate seeing Injustice and Batman v Superman. In fact, what they were going to do with Justice League, but here. It's something that we haven't seen before so early in his origin, and that this stuff could potentially happen. You could have a child that just was never really right from the beginning, or he could go through.
Boy ain't right.
Yeah, that boy ain't right in this film, or he can go through some trauma while he's going through school. There's a good setup for that. And then just things spiral out of control. And I was along for the ride the whole time. And never did it feel... It was starting to feel a little tropey. Like I said, it was sagging a little bit. But then, man, that third act just nails it out of the park for me, guys. If you guys are a fan of Superman, if you want to see a spin on a different take on it, and if you want to see an evil Superman, then this is definitely the film for you. And it doesn't pull its punches. That's the coolest thing, I think, that they really show. So what would it be like if, you got punched or you got fucked up by somebody with Superman's powers? We've not seen that. We've not seen that in the cartoons. We've really not seen that in a lot of, some of the other action movies. I don't think I've ever seen, that kind of gruesome stuff. And I think it was well executed.
Yeah, you want to go to final ratings?
I don't want to talk too much about the movie because all the things I find interesting about the movie would give spoiler stuff. So, yeah, okay.
It was a pretty standard. I was going to talk about side plots. He has a little bit of exploration of his feelings, of an adolescent's feelings towards females. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of exploration of you
can't spoil it. It's kind of
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go straight to the final verdict. Go ahead.
You want to start this one? I'm kind of curious what you're gonna give.
Yeah, I was disappointed only because my expectations I think were too high for this. I really love the concept, I thought that they fleshed it out competently. I think that it was acted really well. The action was on point. Like there's great scenes where you see what happens when Superman doesn't want you to be alive, and it's just like, oh man, okay. Because normally Superman's like, I don't want to hurt you because I don't need to. This kid wants to hurt you.
Yeah. What happens if a psychotic kid, ones that like to hurt animals?
Yeah.
What happens if that kid starts to explore that, he likes to hurt people too?
Yeah, I wish they had fleshed.
And he feels superior to
Oh, yeah. I wish they had fleshed more of the motivations and things. I think they went kind of like a cheap route that I didn't appreciate as much as if they'd fleshed some things out. And so I'm going to give this one... It's hard because, it's like a 6 or a 7.
Oh, he's not.
I'm gonna go 7.
7? Okay, yeah.
It's enjoyable. It's. I'm gonna give it that. I'm gonna round up because this is the type of movie that I enjoy.
It was a good movie. I did enjoy it. The acting was great, and the kid scared me. I was like, holy shit, I don't want to be around this kid. He is freaky. So he did a great job with acting. The scenes made me kind of like turn because they were so gruesome.
This sounds like a great rating to me, Joe.
But it just felt pretty long and drawn out in certain
But
things.
it was a short movie.
It was. It was a short movie, but it still felt kind of like, all right, can we kind of speed this up? For me, that was my opinion. I'm going to give this a 6. It's a good film.
I'm practicing patience for not stepping over you guys and talking over you.
This is my opinion.
Come on, Joe Superman.
I know. I was
support.
expecting more, and I did kind of want to see some of more of his discovery.
Technically, this ain't the Superman license. In fact, it piggybacks off the Superman license. I'm surprised they don't get sued in many ways.
Yeah, they're probably trying to shy away from all that stuff. Try not to.
No, I don't think they're shying away from it. You could hear it in the musical chords, how it kind of pays homage to, Man of Steel and some of the other Superman films that we've seen, and his obsession with logos and costumes and things. So
it's a creepy costume, by the way.
I didn't understand where that we'll talk about it in spoilers.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
I kind of wanted more.
So I think they're wrong. I think that the film needed more time. It's on a smaller budget. This is not going to be Avengers. This is not going to be Captain Marvel. These kinds of things. It is limited to sort of the farmhouse and the early life of Superman growing up, and it doesn't really ever expand its scope, in an insane amount. But for the story it was, I thought it was far more interesting to keep it tight. Keep it amongst the characters that actually have a connection to each other, that love this boy or that know this boy through, family, like the aunt character, the uncle character. And then when this boy starts to lose it and starts to feel threatened by people, might be sharing his secrets or might be saying stuff that he doesn't want them to say. And when he's basically, sometimes there's good reasons for why people get hurt.
There is.
And he stares at you, and you're like,
there is.
Shit.
Oh, no.
So I really enjoyed it, guys. I think it's an 8 out of 10. And it is grim. It is dark. It does not shy away from showing some gruesome effects of what it would really be like. And you know what? It doesn't sort of cop out at the end when it had every opportunity to do so. And I respected more for that. There is no after credits scene, so they don't really try to bait for a new universe or anything like that. But it's open to interpretation, which is interesting. And I'm wondering if there's any deleted scenes, because honestly, I wanted a little bit more. So yeah, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. Let's jump to the spoilers now, so we can get to that, and we can tell you exactly sort of his origins and the things we can't talk about. So thank you so much for watching. I say go out and see it. I think Alex says go out and see it. Joe, slightly above average.
Yeah, go watch it.
Go watch it. As a Superman fan, did you...
Well, there's not really much going on now, so yeah, I think it's worth a watch.
Okay. All right. We'll see you guys on the next Angry Joe Show. Bye, guys. Okay, spoilers for Brightburn. Okay, so I thought that this was going to be more he's just disturbed from the very beginning.
I hated that he's the super sweet boy until he's 12 years old. And he's the model kid. He's Clark Kent until he's 12 years old.
Yeah.
And then red lights flash, and he's a psycho.
Okay.
And I hate that.
Yeah. So I didn't like it at first. That's where it was going to lose some points from me. But it actually kind of, I looked at it from a different point of view. And I looked at it like, Dragon Ball Z almost, where these kids or these superpowered beings are being sent to different planets because he's being activated. He is an alien.
No,
so
I mean,
it's like Kakarot is getting orders, to take the world. So I love sort of the alien language that he like repeats over and over. He's convulsing, and eventually he sort of figures out the language and realizes his orders are to take over the world.
Yeah, I kind of got that feeling too, because like whenever he was in class, they were talking about
the wasps,
the bees, and like these wasps are terrible. They just go in certain hives and just take over.
Yeah, they force you to raise their
so
kids.
There's more of him around.
Yeah,
but we don't.
And so I get what they're doing, but that's not
that's
not what I wanted at all, because that's not interesting to me when you have like this character. I mean, they were shocked a little bit when this kid started doing other things, but this kid had powers literally his entire life. He had never got cut, he had never got bruised, never broke a bone, never did it. He didn't show super strength, but
I think he was activated at that time. Maybe his powers were sort of latent or dormant, and then once he got the signal, then he took an offensive stance rather than a defensive stance.
No, I mean,
and I think it's more interesting to actually have him a good child, because that gives the parents and that gives the people that surround him a more conflicted manner when you're dealing with him.
For sure.
Especially towards the end of the film, where the mother's like, I feel like there's good still inside you.
Yeah, but she was the only character that cared that he was a good kid beforehand. Had it been something where like, oh my God, this kid's normally a good kid, not one person acknowledged, other than the mother, how that he was a moral character and he had been a good kid. So had they
called him a monster and everything.
Had they driven that point home and said, oh my God, it's so shocking that he went evil, but no one cared. Like the dad was just like, no, this kid's a dick. Immediately.
I disagree. I think that you could see it on the dad's face when he's about to shoot him in the back of the head. He takes him out hunting. Once he realized the dad is convinced that his son is lost and his son is just out there killing and murdering people, especially when he kills his best friend, his uncle, or something like that. The boyfriend of the mother's aunt. Something like that, right? But he's convinced, and so he takes him out hunting. He's like, me and the boy, we're going to go out. He tries to convince his wife, and she does that super tropey thing, which I fucking hated, where she's like, no, that was a wolf that burst open the cage and broke all these chickens' neck and ripped them into pieces, even though the boy was staring at the chickens 5 seconds ago.
Well, she didn't know that.
I know, but the whole thing where I don't believe it, la la la.
Yeah,
that's the stuff that took it down a little bit for
mother's love. It's
right.
Just denial.
But I could see it in his face that he felt, man,
he
this
loved
is
the
terrible.
kid.
Bam. And then the same thing with the teacher. Like the teacher's like, this is my pet. This kid's so intelligent, but then when you're starting to realize, and it's even the aunt in therapy when she's talking to him, looking for a little bit of remorse, because this kid literally breaks this girl's hand who he had a crush on. So at the beginning of the film, when he's a normal kid, he's like, getting made fun of for being so smart, and then she's like, don't worry about it. Smart kids get ahead when they
rule the world.
They rule the world. Leto on the nose, a lot of that stuff from that particular scene. But no, later on, he crushes her hand because, as his father finds these dirty magazines or dirty pictures under his bed,
then turns into like organs and all
but
this
then
other
as he looks through the pictures, it gets real fucking nasty. And then he's like, trying to have the birds and the bees conversation with his son. He's like,
it was funny,
It was funny because he was like, it's okay to masturbate, and he didn't know how to handle it.
To touch it.
To touch it. It was very awkward. And he's like right now, and he's like, what the fuck is wrong with this kid? No, not right now. But he actually does go and explore those feelings right now because he can freaking fly really fast. So while his father is, away, he flies to that girl's, window and starts like just peeking on her and just staring at her, scares the bejesus out of her.
Oh yeah.
And she knows it's him, and he knows that she knows it's him. So that's why he crushes her hand earlier.
It's just unbelievable. But I kind of wish they would have like dived in deeper to his ship, because that was basically what triggered him and made him crazy, because he was like chanting some weird incantations or something.
With the ship. Yeah.
His mom finds him. I was like, well, maybe later on he comes back and that's his source.
Yeah, I was very curious. Do the aliens look like his mask? Or I guess they're not aliens, but
I don't know how he came up with that.
Or are they beings that look like us? How did he come up with that exactly? That kind of stuff was interesting. And that symbol, is that the symbol of those?
I think it's just him, because it's just BB.
Oh, right.
Brandon Byer.
So he just wanted to make his own Superman symbol, and he fashioned himself, just superior to all these beings rather than their protector. Something that he could just play around with and see what the insides look like and stuff. And, so I agree with you that it's like, so the signal is telling him to do all these things, is what it seems like it to me. And, was it really he was just sick in the head, or was it the signal? So that kind of stuff is up. You had to be the signal?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I would have kind of appreciated from that angle that if he was dark as well. But, you know, quite clearly that's the direction that they went. At the end of the film, I'm like, how the hell are you going to stop this kid? Because these are some brutal scenes. He essentially, you know, picks up a car, slams, you know.
Slams it into the road, yeah.
Slams it into the road, but we see everything of the guy inside, like his uncle.
His jaw falls
hits
off
the steering wheel. And
he's like holding his jaw in place while gagging on his own blood. And, you know, the kid just comes over and takes some of the blood. And he's just kind of reveling in it.
And he draws it. He signs his signature in the road, yeah.
And, yeah, and then there's a great moment where the cops are kind of onto it because they're connecting the fact that he's putting his signature on all the kills that he's doing. And it culminates into this massive scene where she realizes finally when she goes up into his room, opens his notebook, and realizes, oh, my God, he really is sick.
She knew. She was just like...
Yeah. Exactly, right. Yeah. Because as she goes deeper in the notebook, he actually does the drawings of all the kills that he did. And, you know...
They were good drawings.
They were. She calls the police. This cop who we've been following, who's kind of catching on to it, is like, oh, here... You know, he turns around. He goes over there. But he's already in full psycho mode. And I just love that the cop comes up, and he just go, boom! And he turns into just... blood and
guts. It's like a red mist
all
over the place. It's like, what
I'm like, that is what would happen if Superman hit you at that fucking speed. You know, there's no, oh, you know, my body is broken. Or no, you're fucking gone.
You're getting hit by a huge-ass bullet.
Yeah. It was fucking crazy. And then he's got some backup in the form of his deputy with the shotgun, and he just destroys her. And you can see it in the background, but it's kind of blurry. So,
but you see enough. You see enough, though.
Like a rag doll, and you're like, oh my God, this is when in that third act, the film is worth that third act, in my opinion, the price of admission alone. And I do appreciate the first and second acts, how they're slower, they're building it up, they're really telling the story, you know, but there were some tropes, and you're like, please don't do this, because I turned to Melissa and I was like, you know, this is so predictable. Like, it's every beat you're able to predict before it happens until that third act. And I was like, oh, thank God they didn't continue to do the predictable formula. And I wonder if part of that was kind of, you know, the writers setting it up in a predictable way and then letting go in the third act. So why is it not predictable in the third act?
Because he actually wins. He kills his mother. Because we forgot to talk about his weakness.
What is his weakness?
His ship.
Yep.
Like cutting him with the metal part of his ship.
He has a weakness to the particular maybe alien metal from.
Yeah. So his mom's like, "Hey, I got to put an end to this." She grabs a little piece of metal. She's hugging him, trying to have a tender moment, psych him out. And he reaches over. Pretty sure he feels it.
Yeah.
Bam! Takes her up into space, pretty much.
And
then drops her. The slow motion.
And then
like, you're fucked.
Yeah. And then he grabs a jumbo jet and he makes it crash on his farmhouse where all of these murders just happened to cover up his tracks. And they're like, oh, and
pretty smart.
Yeah, that's great.
And but the scene is well executed because he takes his mother through the fucking house. And you're like, oh, no, she's fucked. And you see her face, and it's brutalized because she just basically went through a bunch of wood and the roof and everything. And, you know, she's in major trouble. And you're like, how is she getting out of this?
Yeah, I thought
she
it was
ain't
like,
getting out of this.
No, there's no way.
You know, and he's looking at
maybe
her just
have a change of heart?
malevolent.
No change of heart.
And it's like, wow. And then they show news reels of him actually coming out and attacking various things, destroying a building, causing some mass destruction, and it's kind of left open. Does he take over the world?
Oh yeah.
Well, there's two other evil things that at the end, the guy who played from Guardians of the Galaxy, what was the guy's name? He was a Walking Dead Merle or something. Yeah, so he plays this crackpot, you know, conspiracy theory guy, and he's like, this is the guy, and there's also the underwater one that keeps making all the ships crash, and then there's this female witch character that keeps
keeps
strangling everyone with like these magic ropes, and so they kind of do a evil Justice League type thing.
No, I thought that was the guy is like just showing that sometimes they're the water's making the frogs gay, that kind of thing. But one of them was right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't think that was actually hints that they're setting it up, because
there
there was an alien.
ones.
There was a gray bug-eyed alien with a superhero suit. Looked fucking ridiculous, but it was a drawing, and then there was somebody on the one. Nah, man.
an alien.
You think they're trying to set up a universe? I thought it was just making fun of that kind of the fact that that all these other things set up a universe. I think they really told a complete story here.
Oh, for sure.
And they were like, you know what? If we're gonna do this, we're gonna end it dark, and we're gonna end it where everybody fucking loses and he wins, because that's honestly what would happen.
Yeah, he's taking out buildings and everything.
Little bit of a cop out to like stab him with a piece of his ship, and it would have felt so formulaic. The whole film would have felt so formulaic had it not been for that third act.
Yeah. Now nobody knows how to stop him.
Exactly.
So,
Yep.
He's covered his track. He might have even destroyed his ship. Now that he knows
he
that
threw a plane on it.
It can hit. Well, I have a theory. He took that ship away somewhere, because he's not going to just throw a plane on it. You know, he needs to get that thing destroyed. But anyway, I don't know. I doubt we'll ever see anything with Brightburn again. And I kind of don't want to see anything with Brightburn. This is a self-contained story, and I don't think it's necessary to create a universe around this one.
Yeah.
It was an interesting horror take, a little bit of a spin on it, a little high concept, action horror,
Yeah, it was a good one and done.
Action horror that plays on our nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
At least mine. That's probably why I like it a little more than you guys. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. That's going to be it for Brightburn, and stay tuned for our Aladdin review. Check it out. Bye, guys.